Good morning, all you beautiful people out there. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us all rejoice and be glad in it. I pray that today, whatever your hand finds to do, you work at it with all your heart, as if doing it unto the Lord. This is Torah-Pologetics, Part 3. Today's lesson, Judged by Grace. Let's get into it and defend the faith. Here we go. It is important to always obey the law.
But Paul said we're not under the law. Paul said we are under grace.
Yes, Romans 6:14 does say that we are not under the law, but we are under grace. So, checkmate all you Torah keepers, right? Not even a little bit. People that quote this verse fail to read the entire chapter. In fact, actually, when you read the very opening line of chapter 6, verse 1, it says, "What shall we say then? Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound? By no means," because Paul doesn't want anyone to take advantage of God's grace. So then if Paul says we are not under the law, but we are under grace, but yet we shouldn't continue to sin, what does that mean? Well, sadly enough, I think the best way to explain this is to tell y'all a little embarrassing story. The other day, I got pulled over for a traffic violation by a police officer, and I would argue all day long that I didn't actually commit a traffic violation. Nevertheless, for the purposes of this story, let's go ahead and assume that I was guilty of this traffic violation and that I did break the law. So I was pulled over by the police officer, and he asked to see my license and registration. And he explained to me why he pulled me over. You see, in his eyes, I had committed a crime and I had broken the law. And when you break the law, you're guilty of a crime, and there's punishment that is due. However, when this officer returned from his patrol car and came to my car to give me back my license and registration, he gave me a written warning. Despite the fact that in his eyes I had broken the law and was guilty of a crime, he gave me a warning. In other words, he judged me by grace, not by the law. Because when you break the law, you have to pay the price. But despite that, he went ahead and showed grace. So then what do you suppose I did after he showed me grace and gave me a written warning? Do you think that I just took my warning as a sign that I can just do whatever I want and that the law doesn't apply to me? Of course not. That would be stupid. If I would have just taken the written warning and sped off and did my own thing, I would have been pulled over again. And not just been pulled over again, but the punishment would have been worse because I had already been warned. I had already been shown grace. And despite the fact that I had been shown grace, if I chose to go ahead and keep on sinning or breaking the law, bad things would have really happened at that point. And the Bible is the exact same way. The Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But despite this, we've been shown grace. God gave us His law to show us how to live, righteously, to show us how to be like Him. And Jesus came and died so that we could come back in covenant with Him, because thousands of years ago, God's people kept choosing to break the law despite the fact that they were shown grace. So when God chose to divorce the northern tribe, the covenant was ended. And the only way to bring us back into covenant was through the shedding of blood. And once that blood was shed, we were allowed to come back in covenant. We were shown grace. I suppose you could think of it as a really, really, really severe written warning. Now that we're allowed to come back into covenant with God, we're still expected to do His things His way. So if He said not to do something thousands of years ago, we're still expected to obey. Choosing to show grace to somebody does not negate the law. It doesn't negate the rules. The rules still apply. You've just been forgiven. And just like Jesus told the woman who cheated on her husband, go and sin no more. So to sit back and say that the law is old-fashioned and that we don't have to go by it anymore, that's just taking advantage of grace. those that take advantage of grace, the punishment will be worse than if grace was never shown. I really hope that what I'm saying is making sense, because I'm not trying to be legalistic. I'm just trying not to take advantage of grace. I got my written warning the other day, and now I'm doubly careful about what I do and what I don't do on the road. I'm telling you, I never ran the red lights on that school bus that he said that I did. He used to drive a school bus, for crying out loud. Like, I'm paranoid about red lights. I'm telling you, they were yellow. I did not run the red lights on the school bus. I would never. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. I love y'all. I'll keep praying for you.